What does it mean to live more with less? I'm Katie Wells, and welcome to the Maximized Minimalist Podcast. If you found yourself caught up in the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood and want to rewrite the script, congratulations, you're in the right place. I'm here to be your guide and help you take back your motherhood and achieve a simpler, more joy-filled life. Cheers to being a maximized minimalist. Enjoy the show. Hey friend, so excited you're here. Welcome back. We are going to be diving into the Scandinavian mindset and philosophy of Hygge. Now, perhaps you've heard it pronounced in different ways. I, for many years, heard it pronounced as Hygge, but the actual pronunciation is Hygge. All right, and we'll leave it there. So you've probably heard this term floating around, and what we're going to be diving into is the true meaning of it. It's likely not what you think it is. And I'm also going to share how you can use it for inspiration to create a cozier, more peaceful environment that is your home. First things first, let's talk about the real meaning. Hygge is a Danish word that really doesn't have a direct English translation, but in its essence, it's a mindset that focuses on finding joy in simple pleasures and creating a calm, cozy, welcoming, peaceful environment that helps us focus on connection and mindfulness. It's about simplicity, not excess, and it's a feeling you're going for, not a perfect aesthetic like it's been sold to us. And on that note, this is exactly why many of us became familiar with Hygge in the last decade or so, right? Because it was bottled up and sold to us as something that we can buy, right? Another trend for businesses to sell. The irony here is what began as a philosophy of slowing down, savoring life's simple pleasures, creating a cozy home has, again, slapped a label on it, been sold to us to like, hey, buy more of this. It is wild, right? From candles to blankets to Hygge approved decor. I've seen it all. The market has exploded with stuff we supposedly need to achieve this lifestyle of less. So here's the secret. The real secret is you don't need more things to feel cozy and content at home. Simplicity has been commercialized for so many years now. It is ridiculous. True simplicity comes from what you don't have: excess clutter, excess home decor, unnecessary purchases, and all that mental noise telling you to keep up with the trends. All right. Remember, you don't need to fill your home with products labeled Hygge or minimalist to have a meaningful, clutter-free, simplified life. All right. I'm hopping off my soapbox. I hope you enjoyed that rant. So as we go through these elements of Hygge, just know that, again, it's not about buying a bunch of new stuff. It's about that feeling. And instead, think about how you can use what you already have. Perhaps you can rearrange your space, or maybe even focus on the intangible things like mindfulness and connection. That is what it's all about. And that is why this is such a beautiful mindset and philosophy. All right, so let's explore these concepts together. Number one, atmosphere is huge when it comes to Hygge. It's all about setting the tone of your home. And a really great way to do this is lighting. So soft, warm lighting. This is why in a lot of those images you may have seen on Pinterest, lamps, fairy lights, or the ultimate Hygge staple tends to be candles. Now, personally, I just don't love candles. I don't burn many candles. I've been slowly burning through the same one for 3 years, but we do use our fireplace a lot, which definitely helps create that warmth and switches the vibe of the house, right? We also tend to see a lot of earthy tones. If you're looking at the aesthetic of the atmosphere, beige, brown, greens, taupes, things like that. And I think these are popular in this atmosphere because they can really bring a sense of grounded calm into your space. Now, here's the thing. One of my good friends, Tasha Agruso, also known as Kaleidoscope Living, she loves color. Now, if you follow her on Instagram or you've heard our episode together, a lot of her walls in her home are neutral, but she absolutely loves bright colors. That is what makes her feel most peaceful, most excited, most joyful in her space, right? And so while she's heard of this, and obviously neutral tones, this stuff has been more popular in the last decade or so from an aesthetic, like home decor trend perspective. But I say that to say, if color is your thing, keep your bright pinks, keep your bright corals, your blues, your navies, like whatever that is for you. If that makes you feel good, keep it in your house. All right. If that makes you feel grounded, that's the idea. It's not just about doing it just to say you did it. One idea I wanted to share that, bringing the warmth and the texture to create this atmosphere in Hygge is important. And instead of buying new pillows for the fall and winter season, which, Hygge is typically associated with colder months, but it can be an all year thing. Instead of buying something new, I opted to get two new slip covers for the two pillows we keep on our couch. So they're like a linen striped light fabric normally. And then I got these kind of green textured, they're super warm to the touch and they're so cozy. So I slipped those on the second it hits like 69 degrees, 68 degrees. They've been on for a while in my house. It was a simple swap I made to increase that coziness factor. Number 2 is presence. This is about being fully present in the moment. And you all know this. And if you're a first-time listener, I'm going to break it to you. What is one of the biggest things in our lives that distracts us from being present in the moment? Clutter. If you guess clutter, ding, 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 you win, right? There's other distractions though. This can be tough, especially if we're constantly glued to our phones, responding to emails, juggling a million things. This isn't a guilt fest. We all get caught up in the busyness of life. So one idea that we've implemented that's made a big impact is we have set aside a no screen time for Andrew and I during the weeknights, like the after school, like the dinner, the homework, the dinner, like up until the kids are in bed around 8:30. We try our darndest to not even touch our phones. It makes a big difference, right? When it comes to presence. My kids aren't seeing me tap my phone, immediately respond to a text message. Whether they say it or not, think about how you feel when you're talking to someone and they're looking at their phone. Again, this isn't judgment, this isn't guilt, but it has been a simple shift we made to feel more connected to the people and to being present. Pleasure. Hygge is really about enjoying life's simple pleasures. These are like my favorite things. I could talk about this all day. It's taking the time to savor. Rush is the opposite of savor. Rush, chaos. That's life. I'm not saying to never rush. I get it. You got to get your kids to school in the morning. You got to rush to jujitsu or soccer practice. I get it. But taking that time to savor that cup of tea or that coffee, maybe bake something delicious with your kids. It's finding joy in the little things that make you happy. Maybe it's your favorite candle. If you love a candle, kudos to you. Burn that candle, girl. Or maybe it's a good book. The idea is to carve out time, intentional time for small moments of pleasure. Notice I'm not saying it has to be 60-minute increments. Sometimes it's just 10, 30 seconds. Maybe it's reading 2 pages of a chapter before the kids wake up. For me, what I try to do is, especially as we enter these cooler months, is invest more intentionality into our family dinners by slowing down. I'm a fast eater. I always have been. I tend to eat to survive and not to live to eat type person. So scarfing down my dinner and then leaving the dinner table in 5 minutes doesn't really open up a lot of opportunity for pleasure or presence or connection, right? So slowing my chewing down, as silly as that sounds, has led to longer dinners for us, more family bonding and connection. Enjoying my cappuccino in the morning, reading part of my Bible study, or again, a few pages of a great book before the workday begins are some examples to gain more pleasure. What fills you up? Togetherness and inclusion are central to Hygge. It's about creating a sense of equality within your home and making sure everyone feels involved and included. So for me, because of what I teach and my scope of things, I tend to think a lot about, maybe this means family dinners where everyone contributes something, whether it's setting the table. If you invite guests over, they're really big on like potluck style meals. So everyone chips in. It's not one person stressing, cooking all day to host 5 people. Everyone brings it. It's super casual. I love that. Like, it's not about perfection. It's not about it's just about togetherness. And when you can create spaces where everyone, friends or family, can gather comfortably, oh, that's so cool. And maybe it's not a kitchen table. Maybe it's a reading corner or a shared game table. Speaking to the idea of onboarding our family into whether it's, home management of any kind, decluttering, chores, cleaning, managing their things. I used to really think of these things as a life skill. And I wanted to teach my kids these life skills. I still do. But to me, after working with them for years, they're 8 and 9 now, it's become so much bigger than that. It's become about equality. It's become about bonding our family. It's about equality and togetherness. Like when we do our dishes at night together, I put away, Levi rinses, River clears the table, Andrew puts the leftovers away. Like we are working as a family unit. When we cook together, we recently DIY'd and built this really simple but beautiful outdoor fire pit and patio so we could add another gathering space in our home, or really outside of our home. And we did this as a family. All of us were involved. We dug in the dirt for hours. We sweat. We cried. A lot of physical labor. And each time we do something like this, whether it's as big as an outdoor patio or as little as, doing the dishes, I feel in my heart closer to my family. And not just in the moment, like that stays with us. It's a really beautiful thing. And it's been so impactful for me. Now, if I ask my sons, oh, do you feel closer as a family after you do the dishes? They're probably going to say no. So I'm not, don't over romanticize the idea and be like, oh, well, my kids wouldn't feel that way. I feel that way as an adult, right? I feel that way. And so does my husband. And perhaps they do too. They just don't know how to verbalize it, or perhaps they don't. But, as they grow up and have families of their own, if that's something they'll pursue, or even a partner, I think it'll all continue to, pay into their life in dividends. Gratitude. One of the most beautiful things about Hygge is focusing on gratitude. It's not about constantly striving for more, but appreciating what you have. And I know that's constantly, well, depending on where you spend your time. I see stuff on gratitude all the time. It's an important part of my life. It's drastically helped me. I think we need to, differentiate it from toxic positivity, which is a term floating around now that I totally understand. It's not toxic positivity. Like you can be grateful and still be having a tough time in life. It's not pretending everything's okay when life's falling apart. That's not what gratitude is. Focusing on what you have and appreciating what you have, being thankful. Life isn't doesn't need to be perfect for us to be thankful. So one practice, while I admittedly haven't done this yet, I've heard about it for years, perhaps this will be our year to do it, is to start a gratitude jar. Maybe at dinner or during your family dinners, whether that's 3 times a week or every day, some type of steady time in your day where you can be consistent with it. Someone or all of you in your family writes down something you're thankful for. You add it to the jar at the end of the year, or maybe on someone's birthday, or pick a date a couple times a year. Draw something out of there. Every day you can pull something out of there. Hey, wow, Levi, you said you were grateful for your teacher. That is so amazing. Like, that's really cool. Let's celebrate that. And before we dive into more practical tips on bringing Hygge into your home, I want to talk a moment to talk about something that's become a really big part of my home environment over the last few years, which is clean air. As we're talking about cozy, comfortable home, we have to also consider the air that we're breathing, especially as we're in the colder months and we're going to be spending even more time indoors. This is exactly why I use Air Doctor. This is one of the most powerful air purifiers on the market that removes 99% of contaminants like dust, pollen, mold, pet dander, and even bacteria and viruses from the air. Having clean air in my home helps me feel more at ease, especially when it comes to my family's health. And I will say, as a cat lady with multiple cats and multiple litter boxes, I have also noticed a huge difference in how fresh and clean our home feels since we started using it last year. And now I don't need to worry about if my guests who come into my home get hit with a waft of kitty litter or something else that's in the kitty litter when they walk into my home, right? So this totally aligns with Hygge. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day breathe easy money back guarantee. So if you don't love it, you can send it back for a refund. You can head to airdoctorpro.com, use promo code MAX, M-A-X. You'll receive up to $300 off air purifiers. This is exclusive to you, my podcast listeners. You'll also receive a free 3-year warranty on any unit. Go to airdoctorpro.com. I'll put that link in the show notes. And don't forget to use promo code MAX. Hygge is amazing at encouraging peace and harmony in the home. I feel like all of these things we've talked about so far are really just, they integrate with one another so well. This means environments where people feel comfortable and welcome. Maybe that means having a no competition rule at family dinners where it's just about being together and enjoying each other's company. Perhaps we have had to incorporate this with two boys who tend to be super competitive. They are very close in age. It's about connection over perfection. So what are some ways that you can include or create more harmony in your home? Perhaps it's not with stuff. Perhaps it's with boundaries, values, conversations. There's so many ways to go about doing it. Let's talk about comfort, right? If you haven't already tapped into that, comfort is a part of it. And I think a lot of us think, oh, it's physical comfort. It's the blankets. It's the plush pillows. It's the comfortable couch. But it's also emotional. The emotional comfort, having conversations that feel easy, creating spaces where people feel safe and calm and are willing to open up, and just making your home feel like a sanctuary. And the final element, this really caught me a little bit by surprise, I won't lie, when I first was tapping into Hygge, but it's truce. This is setting aside differences and focusing on peace, especially during family gatherings. And y'all, we are heading into the holidays. And I mean, the division in families, in so many people across the globe, it's really been devastating. I've seen it in our families, our extended family. I mean, it's just the division is, I think, relentless. And so it makes sense. And even in the 18th century, when this was created, there was division. But this is about focusing on peace. It's not about spending time with only people who have the exact same values and beliefs as you. Of course, if that's something you want to do, go ahead and do it. But that can be especially tricky during the holiday season, right? The holidays can bring up a lot of tension, but Hygge is about letting go of that and focusing on shared moments of joy. All right, so now that we've gone through those 8 key elements, I want to talk about some really quick start ways that you can implement this if you wanna. All right, tip 1, I want you to start with one space. Choose one area in your home where you can focus on that Hygge atmosphere. Maybe it's your living room, maybe it's a reading nook. What is it for you? Maybe you get a candle. Maybe you pull a candle out of your cabinet that's been there for 8 years, right? Wipe the dust out of it and light it. Enjoy the candle. That's why you bought it to begin with. Bring in some natural elements from outside. One of my favorite things to do this time of year with my boys when we hike, which we hike throughout the year, but I love to pull off, pine cones or cut a few branches off a tree. Don't at me, tree people. They grow back, right? I'm pulling natural elements that are free and I'm using them as home decor on our mantle or in a pot. It adds so much life. I love bringing nature into my home. So just some ideas there, right? Again, it doesn't have to cost a thing. Focus on togetherness, creating spaces where people can gather. This is why we created our fire pit. It's for the s'mores, it's for the outdoor movies, but what does this all boil down to? What are we doing when we're around a fire? We're typically not sitting there by ourselves, isolated and alone. We're gathering with others. This is a core value that led us to creating a simple fire pit, right? Fire patio, whatever you want to call it. And this is a great example of how understanding your core values and having a 30,000 foot view can help you on a granular level as well. What does that look like when I'm creating my home and even my outdoor space? Perhaps for you, it's a family tradition. Traditions are incredible. Baking together on Sunday mornings. My husband makes what are called Dutch babies. They're like a really yummy pancake type thing. Oh, they're so good. You have to Google it if you haven't had one. He makes them almost every Saturday morning, especially in the cooler months. And it's a tradition my kids love. They look forward to it, of course, every Saturday morning. Or maybe it's a weekly game night. Bust out Monopoly if you want to play a board game for 18 hours straight. Bring in natural elements. I already hit this one. But, house plants, wood is a really common one, adds a lot of warmth. Pine cones, pumpkins for the season is fun. A wreath made from natural materials. Maybe you take a wreath making class on YouTube or something to create that, if that feels fun and calming and grounding for you. And then again, going back to prioritizing comfort, whether it's blankets, cozy sweaters, I can guarantee this is all things we already have. Maybe you need to swap some seasonal things out in your home in order to achieve that. Again, it's not about just throwing more out and adding more, and creating a space where you can unwind at the end of a long day. Comfort is key to making your home feel like a retreat and what do all these have in common? Again, we need to simplify. So let go of that clutter. So there you have it, 8 elements of Hygge that can help you transform your home into a more peaceful, cozy, welcoming haven for the holiday season and beyond. Don't forget, if you're thinking about making your home not just cozy, but healthier, check out Air Doctor for cleaner, fresher air inside your space. You will be amazed at the difference it makes. Friend, I love to hear how you're bringing this philosophy, this mindset into your home after today's episode. So shoot me a message on Instagram. Let me know. Let's start the conversation. Until next time, ready, set, simplify. Bye.